Bambi is getting modern audience just like everything Disney touches. Not that anybody even asked for a live action version of Bambi. We saw what happened with the Lion King live action that just completely lost a lot of the heart and soul of the original animated series because it just felt like National Geographic, right? Just in the looks of the characters and all that, and animations and such. So let's dive into this article to learn more about how they will desecrate another classic, Bambi. All right, this comes to us from Bounding Into Comics, and they say a live action Bambi writer says film is being made so kids relate to it a little bit more. It's got to get the relatable treatment. You got to relate to the deer. What are they going to do? Race swap Bambi? Okay, hints that it will soften Bambi's mom's death. I mean, that was such an impactful scene. I don't know why that's even necessary. You know, kids handled it just fine all this time. I handled Bambi just fine as a kid. I was sad about the mom dying, but it's a part of life, man. It happens. Death is a part of life. Sadly, it's sad, but it's reality. I just don't think that was nearly too heavy for children. I think it's fine. It's a common arc that you see in other stories like Land Before Time as well. All right, so Lindsay Anderson Beer, who is currently promoting her Pet Sematary Bloodlines film, recently shared why she believes the upcoming live-action Bambi should be made in the first place. I don't get it. But let's see what she has to say. Beer was asked by Collider's Perry Nemiroff. I guess the question often is like, why? Why do we need another one? So going back to how you described Pet Sematary, what is something about the classic version of Bambi that you think is important to hold tight to? But also, how are you going to answer the question of why? Why do we need a new version? Beer answered, well, what's interesting about Bambi to me is that it absolutely is a classic and it's beautiful. Okay, this is like PR speak going on here. I mean, it's true, but you know, she's getting ready to say what she's going to say. A love poem with such artistry to it. I do think there's an entire generation of children who have never seen the original, and that's very different from, say, Little Mermaid or Aladdin or the 90s heyday films that they've definitely already seen. Why wouldn't they have seen this? Why wouldn't people be showing this movie to their children now? These are timeless classics, right? I don't see why you wouldn't show them. I can't tell you how many kids who've never seen Bambi, which is such a shame. It is a shame. She continued, the thing is, it's such a gorgeous film. It's a little bit different tempo than modern audiences are used to. This is the thing I really like about Bambi is that it was able to tell such a story without a ton of dialogue. I can't remember the exact word count of it, but it's not bombarded with talking. You see pretty visuals and you see the story flow and tell itself without heavy dialogue scenes over explaining things and things of that nature. And I love that kind of storytelling. I love it in video games, comic books, movies, animated stuff like this. I think it's great whenever you don't bombard the viewer with a ton of dialogue and you're able to tell the story through the actions of the characters. This is something I constantly talk about. And okay, I'm sorry, not sorry, but I got to bring Tomb Raider up again. Never thought I was going to bring Tomb Raider up in a video about Bambi, but you know, when I mentioned talking about the Netflix animated series in my last video from yesterday, and I discussed how I want Lara to go back to her roots. I like classic Lara. I had a couple people push back and say, well, how would you do it then? Lara has to have a bunch of friends because it would be boring if there isn't a ton of talking, essentially. That's not true. You didn't have a crap ton of dialogue in like the, say, original game or Tomb Raider 2 or Tomb Raider 3. Any of the classics, especially the first 4 and even 5, even though there was a little bit of zip on the VCI levels, but for the most part, there wasn't a whole lot of dialogue. The story really told itself as an adventure through the gameplay and Lara's actions. So yeah, same concept with a lot of other stuff, but just saying, this whole idea that you have to have constant banter and you have to have constant dialogue, I don't get it. I mean, I know I am a bit of an introvert. Okay, I'm like an outgoing introvert, I guess you can say, because I do. But that's beside the point. Who cares about me? But I am definitely an introvert, and so I feel like just a bunch of noise just for the sake of noise is not necessary, right? You don't need a whole bunch of talking constantly. All right. So from there, Beer shared why she believes children have not seen Bambi. There's a treatment of, not to spoil the plot, there's a treatment of the mom dying that I think some parents these days are more sensitive about than they were in the past. And I think that's one of the reasons that they haven't shown it to their children. That's just bullcrap. That is absolute bullcrap. I'm not buying it for a second. Unless you're talking about your vegan PETA people, right? But I do think that there's a way to update Bambi, okay? So that does imply, we can update Bambi. We can just, not have the mom die or be more subtle about it or whatever it may be. I think that's stupid. I do not think 99.99999% of kids who haven't watched Bambi probably haven't just because, parents are showing their kids more modern stuff just out of convenience and ease. I mean, Bambi's on VHS, all that stuff. I'm sure they can still watch it on Disney Plus or what have you. But dude, I do not for a second think that it is because, I can't show them Bambi because the mom died. But okay, I'll show them this modern show with made up genders in it. Not buying it at all. I mean, look at this. Bambi came out in 1942, right? This is such a timeless film. Like, I watched it growing up in the 90s. This did not come out in the 90s. 90s and it still holds up. It's still great to this day. And I think something like Bambi is far better for children to be watching than the vast majority of content that is made for children now, with all of their agendas and, things of that nature. All right. So let's continue. And our take on it did give a little bit more of a scope to it. And I just think that to be able to bring to life for kids these days in a way that maybe they relate to a little bit more would be a service to the original, she concluded. I think, how about kids just watch the original? Why would you just make an inferior live action just like Lion King did? And you can see in a lot of these comparisons, it just completely loses the charm. There's no expressions. Like, look at the expressions from the animated stuff compared to it's all lost. All of the emotion, all of the feeling is lost. Back in 2020, Deadline reported the Bambi movie would be made similar to Jon Favreau's 2019 The Lion King, using a photorealistic forest and animals. At the time, it was announced that Beer would be writing alongside Captain Marvel's Geneva Robertson Dworet. This is going to be a trash fire. The film was being produced by Chris Weitz, Paul Weitz, and Andrew Miano. No director was announced at the time. In June of this year, Deadline reported that Women Talking director Sarah Polley was in talks to direct the film. Not only did they report Polley was in discussions to helm the film, but they also claimed that the film would feature music from Casey Musgraves. Interestingly, they also noted that Micah Fitzerman Blue and Noah Harpster had created the most recent draft of the script. The original Bambi film arrived in theaters back in 1942 and follows the story of Bambi, a young fawn, as he grows up in the forest, finds romance with a doe named Faline. Faline, not Faline. I was like, Faline, it's Faline. I've never seen it actually spelled out. And discovers the danger of man alongside his friends Thumper, the rabbit, and Flower, the skunk. Here's the thing. They're probably going to turn this into a PETA type thing and a global warming type thing and an environmentalist film. I guarantee it. That's what's going to happen. Oh my goodness. Just get ready for modern day politics to be inserted in this tremendously. What I always found Bambi to be is almost like a shonen anime. I felt like Bambi was a story of a boy becoming a man, right? You saw so much character development in Bambi. You saw him as a young fawn and a vulnerable young fawn who his mother died, and he was very emotional about it, and rightfully so, and very sad about it. And then you have that moment, his actual defining moment as he grows up and he's injured. And then his dad's like, get up, Bambi. I don't even know if that buck was his dad. Just as a kid, I assumed in my own head and in the lore in my head that manly buck was his dad. Anyway, but when that buck's telling him, get up, Bambi, get up. It was like, okay, it's time to be a man now, Bambi. And I just don't see that playing as much in this new live action version, because they don't like that. They don't like they call it toxic masculinity for a man to be a man and to be a masculine and strong man, and to be able to overcome things. Probably gonna see Feline be more of a oh gosh. Feline's probably going to be more of a independent woman. There's no telling what they're going to do to ruin this, but this I feel like was just amazing. Just an amazing cartoon or movie, like animated feature. I loved the story. Loved it. And yeah, all of this modern audience treatment they're going to give it, I just don't think it's going to go over that well. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Don't forget to read your Bibles. And if you want me to read the Bible to you, you can check out my new channel, Bible Time with Melanie Mack. I'll have a link in the link tree in the description as well as on the end card. I am just starting Numbers, just about. Actually, I think that's tomorrow. But yeah, tomorrow I'm starting Numbers. I'm less than 100 subscribers, I think, from 10,000 on that channel. I'm just blown away. I did not expect it to get the love that it has gotten. So thank you all so much. But anyway, that's it for today's video. Thank you again for hanging out with me. I will catch you next time. And in the meantime, go boom.